Angry Migtau here. And a lot of modern men see women as monsters. Why is it that some modern men see women as monsters? Well, if you look at the court system and the way that their lives have been destroyed by the legal system, it's no surprise. Men have had everything ripped away from them. They've had their families taken, their wealth, their resources. They've been put out and literally left to fend for themselves with nothing. And anything they gain is taken away. Modern women have essentially created a situation where men no longer trust them. And it's like they just aren't learning. I looked at a comment from an older woman. She looked like she was a boomer. And I made a video discussing why women must abandon the victim narrative for the relationship between men and women to heal. It's interesting. One person said, "So everyone's doomed." And this woman responded by saying, "Most women will not understand what you're saying." And it was rather ridiculous, because she's absolutely right. Most of them are so warped, so locked, and so gone in their own victimization that they can't see anything anymore. Her exact words were, "Most women won't understand what you're saying. Most part of what you say is correct. Both sides need to heal as well." But as she said, most women won't understand what you're saying. Most women will not listen to me. Most women will not listen at all, because they cannot listen to reason. They hear only what they want to hear. They see only what they want to see. They see only their narrative. They see only their needs. They see only their problems. And it just seems to be getting worse. It just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. And you keep on thinking, maybe there's some way that we can fix this, some way we can at least get to a point where men can go their way and live their lives, and women, and we're not fighting. Fine, we don't care if you vote, we don't care what the hell you want to do. Just leave us alone and realize that we are not victimizing you. We are not out to get you as men. We are not trying to hurt you. But it doesn't mean anything, because most women won't see that. They will only see the victim narrative. They will always play the victim. When everything goes to hell, when entitlements run out, yet now they will be victims of the government, victims of a patriarchy that abandoned them. Not yet another reason why women need to be in firm control, and why a matriarchy is so vital in society. The me generation just won't stop. And people don't seem to realize that when you look at what's happening in Washington with these marches, the Women's March and the violent protesters, there are a bunch of millennial hipsters. And people don't seem to notice that they're being paid to be in these places. How do they get there? How do they get bus fare to get there? How are they affording this? They're doing it out of pocket. They are being funded. They are being funded by left-wing agendas, by left-wing groups that are trying to topple the economy, trying to enslave society. But they are more worried about getting their free tampons and their free birth control and their free food stamps, their free food through food stamps, their free rent through Section 8, and their special privileges while men get special punishments. To actually take a look at what's happening and realize that everything is going to hell right now. There are some women who realize that things are going to hell, but most will never see beyond it. Even when things are extremely grave, they'll blame everyone else but themselves. A woman will burn her own house down and then blame the government for she'll blame the man who made the matches. She'll blame the company that made the matches. They should have known better. It wasn't her fault that the house burnt down. It wasn't her fault that she lit the match and dropped it in gasoline that she drenched on the ground. It wasn't her fault. It was the people who made the matches. Because if they hadn't made the matches, it wouldn't have caught fire the gasoline wouldn't have caught fire and the house wouldn't have burned down. But it doesn't change the fact that she's the one who burnt the house down. But it's the same thing with guns in our society, where we blame the gun, but not the person who pulls the trigger. But it's the majority. It's the collective. It's the majority of women who think this way and who refuse to see anything outside of their own narrative of what serves their interest. And even when they have everything they want, it's not enough, because they create chaos, believing that chaos will get them even more, along with the excitement that they desire, because it keeps their emotions going up and down and constantly flurrying around. I keep thinking to myself, why is it that women have no self-control? I mean, so many women lack basic self-control. Basic self-control. And none of this is going to change anytime soon. Even as things get worse for women, they will blame everyone else besides themselves. They will say they are victims of society. They'll blame men. Of course, the first thing they're going to do is blame men. They're going to blame men. They're going to say they're being victimized. When that doesn't work, they're going to try to find men to take care of them. Try to find alternatives. Men will not, because the resources are scarce. And the men who have resources are not going to be giving them to women, because men have already learned that marriage is dangerous and relationships are dangerous. So there'll be men who will have sex with these women. There'll be manginas lined up around the block to sleep with these women. But they're not going to marry them. They're not going to marry them. They're not going to have families with them. And these women, and then when and then the final stages, when they have nowhere to turn, many will end up homeless. Many will live in their cars. Many won't have cars, so many will live on the street. And I've said it, we're going to have tent cities filled with women. Tent cities filled with women. And in these tent cities, that's where you're literally going to have cases where women are being abused, being attacked by men who don't care about the law, that don't respect women, who have no self-respect. Women don't want to change, and it's no wonder that so many men think of them as monsters. Some men see a monster when it comes to having a relationship with a woman. They see someone who's going to hurt them. They see someone who's going to harm them. They see someone who is unempathetic. They see someone who says one thing but is going to do another. They see someone who is devious, who is plotting to do something terrible to them. It's no wonder modern men think this way and feel this way.